Hey, we're back, and there's another Jonathan coming. First we had Jonathan Solomon, and now I have the great privilege of talking to the CEO of Quartz Water Source, interesting company, a Black man with his own water company, the one and only Jonathan Quarles. Jonathan, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you. I always like to begin by tracing the humanity of the people I talk to. Gives me a sense of who I'm talking to, so I know how to zig and zag in and out of this. So here's my question for you before we get into the company and the book. I'm excited to talk about that too. What keeps you going, man?
Fear. I have 3 beautiful daughters, and one, I want to be an example to them in my life. But I mean, fear. I'm afraid of fear. And so that's what keeps me going, realizing that I grew up in Flint, and everything, I felt like the shoulders of my community, I always had my community on my shoulders. So I wanted to make sure that I make them proud.
Interesting answer. Very interesting. I'm going to resist the urge to have a whole show about that answer, about the role that fear plays in motivating and debilitating and all of that. So, but I am going to ask a follow-up, slightly different question, that being, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for life. I'll be honest with you. When I was 12, I experienced the first death right next to me. And so I saw a lot of crazy things growing up. And I'm grateful to be alive at the age of 38. I didn't think I was going to live past 30. So I'm grateful for life.
Yes. Wow. That's a great answer. Yeah, it's hard to beat that answer. If you ain't grateful for life, then there really is something genuinely wrong with you, whether medically or otherwise. But as I say on the show all the time, it's good to be alive. Let's get into your company, man. The Quartz Water Source. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it right.
So first of all, since you know it better than anybody, let me ask the most obvious question. What is that?
Yeah. So we have we partner with a technology partner out in Israel, actually, that's able to make this as a machine that's able as atmospheric water generation technology. In simple terms, it's a dehumidifier, a very sophisticated dehumidifier. And so it's able to extract air that's then goes through a filtration system to take out the dirt and dust. And then it goes through a process of a heating and cooling, and it comes out and creates condensation that's then mineralized. So you get the highest and the cleanest water you can ever get.
So the water comes from the air and not pipes?
From the air. We're totally, we're not touching pipes at all.
First of all, were you not impressed that I got that the first time around?
Yeah.
You could have been like, because I'm a philosopher. I don't do this engineering thing. That's not me at all. I damn near failed math and science. but that's interesting. So let me ask a question, because I think we're building towards something. Why did you decide to go into this kind of business, specifically this kind of business that allows water to be made from the air and not pipes?
Sure. So it all started actually in 2014 during the start of the Flint water crisis. And so I'm a Flint native, and I wanted to do something that was like sustainable and impactful. And I know just providing plastic bottled water, which a lot of people were doing, which is we're very grateful for, was just a Band-Aid. And so we wanted to figure out a way to be a long-term solution, sustainable solution, a solution that can also provide jobs and even a revenue stream. And our business model is that, right? So we're a triple bottom line company where one part we provide the cleanest, scalable, industrial scale water to governments, hospitals, prisons, and even heavy industrial industry. And then we also give a portion of everything we get back to water related projects. And then this technology within itself is environmental friendly. So.
Wow. I'm just thinking in a city where the water is tainted by the pipes that it flows in, how important it is to have someone come along who can find a way to create water that doesn't require pipes. It's a very beautiful thing. And I'm a man, because you seem real calm and even and measured. You got that measured thing going on. I'm trying to destabilize you a little bit. because I'm sure this work has changed your life. I'm sure that you have been affected by it. So don't give me corporate or engineering terms, just in human terms. How has this, because first of all, I tip my hat to you in what you're doing. Let's do this. Let me take a break. We'll come back and you're gonna answer the question of how it's affected you. Because I get the sense you need to prepare for emotional answers. I'm just messing with you. The Book of Jonathan. The Book of Sean on Fox. So we're right back.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, June, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome back, everybody. I like Jonathan Quarles. I like him. He's a good guy, good spirit, good energy. And so, Jonathan, I want to know, before we took our break, I was setting you up for this question, or preparing you for the question, rather. So how has this work affected you?
So I'll just say this. It affected me negatively because I have friends and family that were actually impacted by this. And so, this is really personal for me. And, after kind of like digging in and really sitting down and talking with the community for about 6 to 8 months before we even prescribed anything, we wanted to make sure that the community wanted. But what I noticed is that 1 out of 3 people in the planet does not have access to clean drinking water. And so that's a problem. And honestly, I had no interest in water before I started this. I just wanted to play my part for my community. But then I realized that Flint is not the only city that's impacted by this in the United States of America, supposedly the richest country in the world. And so, it's a problem for me. And so that's been my mission. And that's one of the things that's been driving. I talk about that in the book, but that it impacted me. I mean, to see relatives that are negatively affected, even with learning disabilities that we can never fix. So,
yeah, we're going to turn to the book immediately after this. But I do want to ask 1 or 2 questions just about Flint and the water crisis. I'll ask one, and that being, because I think people think they know about the situation. They think they know what happened. But tell me something about the Flint water crisis that would just shock and amaze my audience.
Well, I'll say right now, it's still not fixed.
Facts.
2014, it's 2020, and it's still not 100% fixed. And that's a problem. And again, this is not just a Flint issue. This is happening in Virginia. This is happening in Mississippi. It's happened in New Jersey. This is happening in most cities that have old infrastructure. And we're going to hear and see more of it. The only reason why we're finding out about it now is because you have people that are now testing more frequently because you have to, because of the Flint water crisis. So if anything, if there was any positive thing, is that now we're able to help save some communities that historically wouldn't have been thought about, especially in urban communities.
What you just said is so good, so important. Wow, that's so good that people understand that Flint is not unique. You just said that it's happening in Virginia, and what's the other place you mentioned?
It's happening in Virginia, New Jersey, Mississippi,
wow.
South Carolina.
Wow, all the places where there's aging infrastructure, we are going to have problems with pipes and water. And so what you do takes on an even greater rather urgency, that we find another way to give people clean water. I'm totally blown away that a Black man happens to be working at the forefront of giving people the most fundamental thing that we need to exist: clean water. If I could give you a standing ovation, Jonathan, and still be on this camera, I swear I'd stand up and give you a standing ovation for this, because I'm just impressed with it. I really am.
I'll say this, Dr. Sean, I can't take credit for it. I have a dynamic team. Half of my team is from Flint, Flint natives. And so, this is personal for us. And I'm grateful for my team. I couldn't do it without my team because I have other businesses also. So to be able to balance all of it and have a strong team to help take us to where we are. And I'm self-funding up to this point. And so it's to me, this is it's mission work. And quite honestly, this is what it's about.
Yeah. Clean water. Let me tell you. So let's get to the book. Let's talk about the book, because I was interested in this. Making Dollars While Making Change. That's the title of the book. Did I get it right?
Got it.
As you know me, I'll mess up a name and a title quicker than you can say anything. So I always check. Did I get that right? Listen, I'm interested in first, what is this book about? Tell me what the book is trying. What is your book trying to say to the world?
Sure. So the book is it kind of partly talks about my formative experience. I started my first business when I was 8 years old. I had a paper route. And then the second half of it talks about how to utilize an intersection between business and social impact. And so the goal is to really help entrepreneurs as well as aspiring entrepreneurs and change makers across the world to really change the way we look at business. Not just a single bottom line thing, but it's more of a triple bottom line. Like, what are you doing for people? So you want to be a great business person so that you can be a better humanitarian, so you can be a better philanthropist. And that's what I want to help encourage. And there's a playbook. So it actually talks about some lessons learned. I've worked in private sector. I worked in public sector. And like I said, for 6 years now, I've been a full-time entrepreneur. And so I've made a lot of mistakes. But then I've done some things great. I'm also an angel investor. So I've invested in companies that I lost 6 figures in. I've also invested in companies that had a really 10x return. So I talk about all those experiences and hopefully it helps people.
So what you've done is you've taken the wealth and the well of your experience and you poured them on the pages for people to be able to avoid the pitfalls and the mistakes that you made. Or if they happen to be making the same mistakes, they have a way out because you've been in that hole before and you know how to get out of it.
And there's no excuse. And I tell people all the time, and people laugh, especially young people, when I get a chance to talk to young people, which I enjoy doing more than anything else. I used to be in a gang when I was younger. And people laugh when I say, because they see me now and they're like,
I'm about to say, I can't see you in no gang, Mr. Smiley.
I was a different kind of kid growing up, but I was a part of my environment. The fortunate thing is I had a mother and a father at home, and that made a huge difference. My dad's 6'5", 250, 60 pounds. So I was scared of him. That's who I had to go home to.
With just cause.
Yeah. But while my friends were doing illegal things, I was hustling. We called it hustling. I was just doing legal hustles because my dad was all up in my business. I couldn't do anything illegal. So, that's Flint made me, and my grit, my grind, my work ethic. I learned all of that from my father and from my community that made me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great witness, and blessings on your parents, for loving you enough to critique you and to correct you, because sometimes love is confrontation and people forget that. Sometimes love is confrontation. Let me ask you a question about, because you wrote a book, not just a businessman, you wrote a book, so you're in my space now. You're over in my part of the world, writing, thinking ideas. So I'm gonna ask a writer, I'm gonna ask you a writer's question. And it relates to how you started writing. How did you start? Because, nobody just wakes up one day and just writes a book, right? It's a journey to that. And I'm interested in knowing, without knowing a lot about you, I bet there's a story behind how you started writing.
It is a story. So I've always wanted to write a book ever since I was, before I went to college, I wanted to write a book, but I just never thought I was a strong writer. I didn't have the confidence and I didn't think I had the time. So the best thing happened to me was COVID-19. I was forced to be still. I mean, for a living, I travel for a living. And so I had nothing but time. And so it was a combination of that. And then I was actually going through some really tough personal and professional issues. And that was my therapy. Writing was my therapy. So at night, I would just write for hours and hours and hours.
Did you lose someone?
I did not lose anyone in the physical realm, but there was some transitions going on, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, writing the book, because I was able just to pour out on the paper all of my feelings, all of the things that were bothering me, even issues I was dealing with. I had a legal situation with one of my businesses, and all of these things were happening while being shut in, having anxiety, And I found myself drinking every day. And so I said, okay, I need another solution. And so I wrote the book in 3 months. And that was it got to the point where that was my love. I just started writing every night, and I would wake up like 5 a.m. writing, and looked up and was like, wow, I finished the book. And, it's one of the best feelings I've ever had. And I'm looking forward to hopefully sharing. And I'm a lot vulnerable in the book. So I'm hoping that people really appreciate that and can learn and grow from it.
Wow. I'm so glad I asked you that question. That was a great answer. I got to take a break. Jonathan Quarles, he's not going anywhere. He'll be right back. I got more to ask him about his company. I want to hear some great stories because like he told us before, they hire people. They bring people into economic security. I want to hear about that. So first of all, look at that smile he's got. How do you not want to come back and see that? The book of Sean on Foxhole.
There. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Can I tell you another one? So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it. What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. What is a boxer's favorite drink? Fruit punch.
Welcome back, everybody. We're cracking jokes during the break about my height. Although I'm not short. Let's just put that clear. I don't want any messages like, anyway. Listen, Jonathan Quarles, let me ask you this, my dear brother. If I could only read one chapter of your book, just one chapter, because whatever reason, my kids are going crazy and I lost my job and I only have time to read one chapter. What chapter should I read and why?
Chapter 4. Chapter 4, and I think you will really appreciate this, Dr. Sean, is that it talks about a lot about mental, physical, and spiritual health. And it's a way in which we tie business into spirituality, into mental health, which I think a lot of times in business, we tend to take for granted and say, well, if the business is doing well, you have to be mentally, physically, and spiritually in the right kind of place. And I'm a big fan of therapy and all other ways to kind of help strengthen those attributes.
Yeah, you mentioned, I kind of got that sense from you that you're a therapeutic kind of guy because writing became cathartic for you, and it allowed you to deal with whatever was going on and to displace or to transition your energy from other things to writing, which is a very powerful and hard thing to do. You wrote a book in 3 months, which is pretty intense.
One thing I want to say, and I didn't realize this until we're actually writing the book and actually, talking to my therapist, is that I had a lot of childhood trauma that I just never dealt with. Like I said, I've seen a lot of things that most people haven't seen their whole lives. I mean, going to sleep every night hearing gunshots, that was regular for me. But I never dealt with it. I learned how to desensitize and really ignore that. And it wasn't until certain experiences in my life where I, my therapist helped me to understand, wow, you still haven't healed. And so, that's one of those things where was revolutionary for me.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. And, I have to ask you this, and I ask this question as recognition of an achievement, not a critique of something wrong. Why did you stay in Flint? Because you are charming, you are accomplished, you are smart. Why didn't you move to Chicago or New York or Atlanta? Why did you stay in Flint?
So I don't live in Flint currently. from high school, I went to school at the school that sits on the highest of 7 hills, a school that's often imitated but never duplicated, the Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University.
Oh my God.
So I went to FAMU, lived in LA and DC for a while, and then moved back to Detroit, where I started working there. And then the Flint situation happened. I opened up my office in Flint. So I traveled back and forth from Detroit.
Got it. But you're still in Michigan.
I am. Yeah.
I mean, to me, no disrespect. That's the same thing to me.
So one thing I realized as I've gotten older, my parents are still alive, and so I'm thankful for them. I see my parents almost every day, and so to me, there's nothing more important than to be able to have my daughters to be able to spend time with their grandparents. It's the love that I have. My dad's my best friend, and the love that I have, my mom is like, it's overwhelming, which was different when I was growing up. She was mother to me. Now she's like the love of my life, and I'm so grateful to be able to be there for them, support, because they were patient with my behind growing up.
Yeah, no, that's rich. That's rich. Love kept you in Michigan. I get it. I get it. Yeah, that is as good an answer as you could have possibly given me to that question. There is no better answer to that. So let me ask you this, because I mentioned earlier that I first of all, I love stories, and I love great stories, and I love good stories about good people getting good second chances. And what I mean by that is, I know that your company doesn't just provide water; it provides jobs, right? Is there a story you can tell us about how your company really helped someone get back on their feet?
Yeah, so we've actually, again, we just started last year, so we're still kind of ramping up. But I have other companies that have helped other companies. One particular, so I'm an equity partner in a pretty sizable cannabis company here in Michigan. And so what we do specifically is we work with those individuals, particular Black and brown people, and that's primarily the reason why I even got involved in it. Was to make sure that, one, we have a seat at the table, equity, and then we also are able to help people that are in prison that's coming out. We can help them expunge their record. We provide them with jobs, even with a felony on their record, and be able to show. I mean, for people to be able to take care of their families is one of the greatest gift you can give someone. So I'm really proud about what we're doing. At the company's called Pleasantries.
Well, you should be. It's a very powerful thing. And it's very powerful for Black people to see other Black people providing Black people with opportunities for employment. Because normally we don't get to work for each other. We
So what we do specifically is we work with those individuals, particular Black and brown people, and that's primarily the reason why I even got involved in it, was to make sure that, one, we have a seat at the table, equity, and then we also are able to help people that are in prison that's coming out. We can help them expunge their record. We provide them with jobs, even with a felony on their record, and be able to show. I mean, for people to be able to take care of their families is one of the greatest gift you can give someone. So I'm really proud about what we're doing. At the company's called Pleasantries. what we do specifically is we work with those individuals, particular Black and brown people. And that's primarily the reason why I even got involved in it, was to make sure that, one, we have a seat at the table, equity. And then we also are able to help people that are in prison that's coming out. We can help them expunge the record. We provide them with jobs, even with a felony on their record. And be able to like show, I mean, for people to be able to take care of their families is one of the greatest gift you can give someone. So I'm really proud about what we're doing at the company's called Pleasantries.